Hello, this is New Vision TV. I'm Lynn Komjisha. As free citizens in communities all over the world celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, millions of fellow human beings are not as lucky as they flee for their lives and are forced into exile. Although Uganda is a relatively small country, it is hosting probably up to 2 million refugees from all of its neighbors and even from the Horn of Africa, with whom it does not even share a border. New Vision TV examines the refugee situation and its implications to Uganda's future.
Uganda borders 5 countries, all of which send refugees in this relatively small country of less than a quarter of a million square kilometers, a fifth of its surface being covered with water. With about 2 million refugees in the country and still counting, the country also receives thousands of refugees from far-off countries in the Horn of Africa. One factor that makes Uganda attractive to refugees is a long culture of accommodating foreigners in distress. This culture evolved into a policy that allows refugees to move freely in the country and even settle permanently. For a long time, there was no pressure on land in Uganda, and refugees could easily acquire some for cultivation. Though small, nearly half of naturally arable land in East Africa is in Uganda. The soil is fertile, requiring no fertilizers, and adequate rainfall makes irrigation unnecessary for basic farming. The country's central location makes it a natural destination for refugees. Rwandese refugees fleeing political massacre poured into Uganda in the late 50s and early 60s. A second wave came in the early 90s for similar reasons. Burundi economic refugees started coming to Uganda in the 50s, and in the past few decades they have been driven here fleeing political persecution. These even include a former president. South Sudanese refugees have also been coming to Uganda since the early 60s for political reasons and are still flocking into Uganda due to insecurity. Congolese refugees started pouring into Uganda during the Lumumba crisis in the 60s. This year they are pouring into Uganda at a rate almost rivaling that of the South Sudanese. Kenyan refugees are difficult to count as they easily march into the crowd. Some of those who came during the post-election violence 10 years ago resettled in the middle west of Uganda and have become localized. Although Tanzanians have not come to Uganda as refugees, Tanzania, for some reason, tends to expel Rwandese refugees into Uganda. They get camps into Rakai before merging into the crowd. In July 2017, the UN Refugee Solidarity Summit was held in Uganda. The summit, hosted by President Yoweri Museveni and the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, raised over $350 million, though it had been expected to raise $2 billion. Uganda's great refugee policy and reputation, however, suffered a major dent last year and probably accounted for the anticipated billions of dollars not being realized during the Solidarity Summit. Reports started emerging that rogue police officers had been abducting refugees and forcefully returning them to countries they had fled from. It is the most heinous crime that can be committed against a refugee. Some of the rogue policemen were recently arrested by the military and charged in the army court-martial, but the damage had already been done. Besides, refugee handling officials in Uganda have been caught in a deep scandal of corruption, inflating numbers, and even more recently, sexual exploitation of refugees. As we celebrate Easter, let us remember the refugees who would have loved to spend it in their home. Vision Group is also launching a campaign to highlight the plight of refugees. The campaign will be carried out through the New Vision newspaper and Arua One radio station. It will run between March 26th and April 27th. The Vision Group Editor-in-Chief Barbara Kaija said the campaign, codenamed Be Your Brother's Keeper, is also intended to encourage Ugandans to support refugees in all ways possible because they are our brothers and sisters from another country.
Moving on, the Assistant Superintendent of Police, Mohammed Shirumina, has instructed his lawyers to sue the office of the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General for causing him emotional distress since his trial with the police tribunal began. Shirumina, who was speaking to journalists after the adjournment of his hearing at Naguru Police Headquarters, stated that whether he wins or loses in the police tribunal, he will still seek a civil remedy. He also maintained that he was no longer interested in serving in the police force, even with the change of leadership. In a separate interview with New Vision TV, Shirumina said he will go into other ventures. The former Buyende District Police Commander said the arrest violated his rights as an individual and caused him and his family a lot of anguish. To date, the officer said he has not repaired the damage the police caused at his home, including breaking the doors and vandalizing his property. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has held talks with 4 officials from Umeme, led by the board chairman Patrick Bitature. The meeting was convened yesterday by the President at State House Entebbe. Other members at the meeting were Celestino Babunji, the company's managing director, former Minister Gerald Sendaula, and Florence Nsubuga, the chief operations officer. The 4 are part of the 10 that comprise the entire board of directors. According to a press release from State House, Museveni and his guests discussed the increasing power tariffs levied by the power distributor. The meeting comes 2 weeks after the President ordered the Inspector General of Government to investigate Umeme over alleged inflated losses and end-user tariffs. He has also stopped the renewal of the concession for Umeme as the electricity distributor and demanded answers on why consumers are still paying high rates for electricity. And in sports news, it will be a working Easter weekend for national athletes currently camped in Kapchorwa ahead of the Commonwealth Games. Uganda Athletics Federation spokesman Namayo Mawere stressed yesterday that giving the athletes an Easter weekend break was potentially disruptive to their training program. The training camp is divided into 2, with the middle and long distance runners based in the high altitude training center of Kapchorwa in eastern Uganda. Sprinters and the only field athlete on the team, Josephine Lalam, are based in Kampala. According to Mawerere, Lalam has her sights on improving her personal best. You're still watching New Vision TV, and now for Pearl of Africa series, we take a look at Misawa Island. This island is known to be spiritual and women are prohibited from going there. However, men and snakes are said to be living there harmoniously. This island has various features that are interesting to explore, such as birds, rocks, people, trees, among so many others. Take a look.
Misawa Island is one of the smallest islands located on Lake Victoria in Rakai district. Sailing on its waters is no different from other water bodies, but what is unique about this water are the white birds that rest and swim on the water. These birds bring out a spectacular view that can attempt to just dive into these waters. Not forgetting the rocks that also add a simple touch to its look. These have even turned white. Fishermen's huts and vegetation surround these waters. People here engage in farming, as many are fully fishermen. It is business as usual to find men ready to draw their nets in the lake to get some fish for food and commercial purposes. Some of the nets are left to dry in the sun so that they are able to catch more fish in the next fishing routine. Being located in the central region of Uganda, the Baganda tribe are the most dominant, and the name Musambwa means a spirit or a demon. This could be the major reason why women are not allowed to come to this island. The myth leads to tempting men into sexual temptations. Since women are prohibited, men, birds, and snakes live here harmoniously as they enjoy the cool breeze. Here they are accompanied by interesting features worth exploring, such as the lakes, rocks, trees, to mention but a few. For more Pearl of Africa stories, visit our website www.newvision.co.ug. Our newspaper, The Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures, so get your copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa stories.
And that's all we had for you. Thank you for watching. Be sure to catch more of your updates on your mobile, on your desktop, on your tablet, anywhere on the go by visiting www.newvision.co.ug. I'm Lynn Komjisha.